If there is one thing that Donald Trump is most afraid of, it's appearing weak. And it's probably because he is, not just mentally, but in his actual authority as president, which gets diminished every day. He becomes more unpopular, and every day more judicial rulings are handed down, letting Donald Trump know that, hey, you can't just override checks and balances. But one place that Donald Trump is trying to appear strong is his threats against Democratic governors, which we just saw after Donald Trump was confronted to his face by the governor of Maine, and now he is losing his mind. And we are going to cover all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into Donald Trump getting confronted and the scary threat that he has issued now because of that, I want to get some context on how this all started with a clip of Trump right here.
And I saw this morning where one of them is pretty well known, one is arguing, fighting like crazy over men being able to play in women's sports. I said, yeah, I thought that was tried. I thought that was about a 95%, I think it's a 95% issue. But in a way, I want them to keep doing it because I don't think they can win a race. And I tell the Republicans, I said, don't bring that subject up because there's no election right now. But about a week before the election, bring it up because you can't lose.
Republicans know that they are becoming more and more unpopular on their most important issues that they made the biggest campaign promises on every single day. The economy is tanking. Donald Trump's mass deportation plan is, thank God, failing, and also making lots of news for how illegal and immoral it is. Voters are pissed off with Donald Trump, and so he is trying to lean on what he sees as the best crutch possible, which is just being blatantly transphobic. And that is exactly how we got this confrontation between Donald Trump and Maine's Governor Janet Mills, which happened just a bit ago, but it's resurfacing because of the threat that now Donald Trump is sending back at Mills. So before we get into that, of course, we have to check out that confrontation.
We need people in the country, but they have to come in legally. 2 weeks ago, I signed an executive order banning men from playing in women's sports. Many Democrats are fighting me on that. I hope you continue because you'll never win another race. And it's just crazy. If you look at what happened with the boxing, if you look at what happened with the weightlifting numbers, where a record that hadn't been broken for 19 years got shattered. But, you know, they put up an eighth of an ounce here, an eighth of an ounce there, and it's 218 pounds or whatever, a lot. And hadn't been broken in 19 years. And then guy walks up who transitioned. He transitioned. And he knocked out that record by about 100 pounds. That will be a record not going to be broken again in a long. So we put a ban on it, and to protect women. I mean, the women. If you watch the Olympics, you had two transitioned people that were fighting in the women's boxing. They have women's boxing category. And if you saw that, it was brutal. What happened to the Italian woman was a really good boxer. After one punch, she said, no more. I've never been hit. It was a left. It was not even it was just a left jab. She got hit so hard, she said, I can't do it. They forced her to go out. No, go out again. You'll do it. Goes out again, gets hit again. No, that's it. She didn't want to die. And it's crazy, but the NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
Well, we are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation. And we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens. We're going to protect. So just to end this...
Now, obviously, that was incredibly brave. That was a powerful clip. That was a big day for firing up Democrats to stand up to Donald Trump. But unfortunately, that did not hold for too long because Maine has now essentially bent the knee to Donald Trump. But even with that happening, he is still not finished threatening its governor. And we see more of that right here. Trump threatens Dem governor as part of demand for a full-throated apology. Seemingly out of nowhere, Donald Trump renewed his war with the governor of Maine, who stood up to him at the White House luncheon over a month ago. In late November, the president berated Governor Janet Mills in front of reporters when he insisted she follow his directive on banning trans youth athletes by telling her, well, we are the federal law. You better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. After he added, and by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. She calmly shot back, we'll see you in court. On Saturday morning, the still smartening Trump took to Truth Social to complain that he has yet to receive an apology. While the state of Maine has apologized for their governor's strong but totally incorrect statement about men playing in women's sports, while at the White House Governor's Conference, we have not heard from the governor herself, and she is the one that matters in such cases, he wrote. He then added, therefore, we need a full-throated apology from the governor herself, and a statement that she will never make such an unlawful challenge to the federal government again, before this case can be settled. I'm sure she will able to do that quite easily. Thank you again for your attention to the matter and make America great again. So Maine is now complying with what Donald Trump wants, but because he hasn't gotten an apology, what he's now threatening to take away their funding again. This is why I continue to say, Democrats, please do not fall in line. Please do not capitulate. Please do not bend the knee. It will never be enough. You can never satisfy him. Chuck Schumer, after you gave in, Donald Trump was mocking you. This was not seen as some act of good faith. Republicans in Congress didn't go, well, Chuck, I guess maybe next time we'll throw you a couple of concessions. No, they never will. So you always have to fight back. I better not see an apology out of Janet Mills, or I'm going to be pretty upset, because we know what will come after it. More and more and more and more demands as Donald Trump tries to embarrass us. But this is also about the distraction that Donald Trump needs with this issue, just being blatantly transphobic. And thankfully, Democrats are not running away as we've seen in the past, because both AOC and Jon Ossoff, who announced his re-election campaign today, and some clips that we're going to check out, called out Donald Trump and his transphobia.
And they will throw out every label and judgment and cultural debate in the book to keep us distracted, folks. This is what the focus on trans kids is all about. Come on, 1% of the entire population. If people want to have conversations about that, take it to the NCAA. It doesn't need to be on the floor of the United States Congress. We need to be taxing the rich on the floor of the United States Congress. We need to be establishing guaranteed health care on the floor of the United States Congress, not erasing American history on the floor of the United States Congress. We need to be passing a living wage on the floor of the United States Congress.
And see, this is why things don't work for ordinary people. It's not because of trans kids or woke college students. It's not. It's not because of our new arch enemy, Canada. The corruption is why you pay a fortune for prescriptions. The corruption is why your insurance claim keeps getting denied. The corruption is why hedge funds get to buy up all the houses in your neighborhood and Congress doesn't do anything about it.
I do not want to see Democrats run away from this issue. You may be thinking that it's unpopular with some folks, that maybe we're on the wrong side of it. First of all, I completely disagree with that. I will always stand up for people's human rights, and I'm not going to allow the federal government or state governments to attack 1 or 2 or 3 trans kids in middle school and high school who just want to play sports with their friends. It's disgusting. Kids should be allowed to be kids, and if they want to play on the soccer team, let them. We don't need them to have their pants checked before the game because some Republican governor wants to make some weird statement or because Donald Trump knows he's got to distract. We should be on the right side of this issue. But more than anything, if we run away from it, what does that say about Democrats? If we're not able to or willing to fight for what we believe or try to change people's minds. I played a clip for y'all just the other week of a guy, an older man, going to a town hall in which he was going to oppose one of these bills, and he had his mind changed. We can change people's minds. We have to fight back. But again, this is just a distraction by Donald Trump, and it's important to focus that in how we talk about it, which is what AOC did, calling out Donald Trump's abandonment of the working class right here.
I understand that their disdain for working people by some of the most powerful people in this country doesn't just come from not being raised right, okay? This disdain is shorthand for the right's entire political agenda and a certain ugly kind of politics in this country. And that is lying to and screwing over working and middle-class Americans so that they can steal our health care, Social Security, and veterans benefits in order to pay for their tax cuts for the billionaires and bailouts for their crypto friends. And you know what, Arizona? There's a certain kind of word for this kind of thing: corruption. And I understand what it feels like to watch all of this stack up. From how overwhelming and brazen all this selfishness is, the constant headlines and notifications, dismantling the Department of Education, trying to end birthright citizenship, the things that make us American. I understand how overwhelming it can feel. And it can make even the best of us want to give in to despair, to feel tired, to feel like there's not much worth fighting for. Because when the system is stacked against you, it's hard to feel like anything you do matters. It's hard to feel like we matter in this democracy. And it is easy to give in to the despair. And I can tell you, I know that when I was waitressing and struggling to put food on the table, for a while there, I did. I tried to stop caring. I tried to just keep my head down, work my shifts, and accept that this is just how things are. But that is no way to live, Arizona. It's no way to live.
It is always a distraction. It is always a distraction. So let's point that out, and let's refocus people on all the failures of the Trump administration and the very clear betrayal of all those promises that he made. That's what we're going to be doing on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.